What's up, everybody? I'm Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga. This is Enlightened Masculinity Podcast, a red pill show about masculinity and spirituality. And right now we're streaming to IMC TV, which is the YouTube channel for all of IMC Nation's streamings. You can go there to that YouTube channel and you'll see all the top guys in IMC. Soon to come, AZD will even be streaming there with his No Fucks Given podcast. Old podcast, you can look it up on all the platforms, but he's coming out with it again. It's going to be an evolution of that. And that's who I am. I'm captain of IMC Nation. I live with AZD, the founder of IMC Nation, streaming to you from what's known as IMC Base 1, the original first base of all of IMC Nation. We have 5 bases currently and a bunch of new bases looking to open up. Los Angeles, overseas, in Netherlands, UK, another one in San Jose, another one in Vegas. And there's people in Florida that are even asking about, hey, Miami, this and that, we want to start one. So new bases will be popping up. And I'm here interviewing one of the integral members of this movement that's, thanks to his quality of video production since essentially the beginning of the base movement, which was, we started forming bases almost 3 years ago, a little less than 3 years ago. And he immediately flew out. He was in Florida at the time, and he, created a lot of really dope content for us. Just video highlights of the base. And, he had his drone that could get, great shots. He's great at what he does. And even though those videos didn't go viral on YouTube, they really set the standard for quality. Like I was just talking with the jiu-jitsu instructor and he was talking about Batata, and he's like, I've never met that guy, but dude, that guy has such a reputation. He's one of those guys that, and Batata is he was a world champion. He has an academy right around the corner here, and AZD's a black belt under Batata. And he was like, Batata's one of those guys. He didn't get well known, but he's a beast. He's one of the best in the world. And I was resonating because a lot of my yoga teachers that I learned my yoga from were some of the best in the world. Like, they're so good. They would just make all these yoga studios, just their yoga is garbage compared to what these guys were showing, but they're not famous like that. And it's almost like we're in that lineage. AZD is not like Andrew Tate famous, but he's 1,000 times the game of Andrew Tate. And the way he calibrates his understanding of things. And, this show particularly is not about AZD, although everything I'm doing here with IMC, it's obviously about AZD. He's the founder of it, and I run his organization. But I'm here with Master Pyro, who has another show on IMC TV, Levels of Mastery, has a prominent, what do you call it? He has a lot of followers, prominent on Instagram. A lot of people know him. He has his Paradise Vixens modeling and content management agency where he works with a lot of pretty women. And, he's made videos he shot for the stars, Aaron Carter and Check the Star and a bunch of guys that he's worked with. And then he's made some great content for us. What I was saying, it set the standard of quality, and it doesn't matter. Like, we hire tons and tons of models for our events, and these models want to work for us just because I show them Pyro's videos. But if you looked at the view count, our Pyro videos have like 80 views, 100 views, 15 views or something. It doesn't matter. The quality is so good. These models are like, dude, this is like a step below television. Like, I might as well I could see why this is going to, be great for me as a model. And so a lot of great things. And then of course, to the IMC Nation, they see the quality of the content, how it's put together. And it is reflective of the quality of what this movement is, what the teachings are, AZD himself. And, that's why his journey has been pretty incredible. We've had him on the show a bunch of times, and he's elucidated his journey to us, showing, his humble beginnings in military and, choosing to pick up the camera against all odds, because who's going to make it as a photographer, videographer in this day and age anyway. And, just on up through the ranks. Now he's about to be a guardian, which is one of the highest ranks in IMC Nation. We have a ranking system here. And he's staying actually at base 1 right now. And he has a lot to say. So I'm actually that was my intro. I'm going to be talking less. He's going to be talking more. I'm going to be asking him questions, and we're going to get to know Master Pyro at another level, because his level of communication now is better than it's ever been. And, he was already a great communicator on the camera. Now he's got those vocal skills, the oratory skills that match that. And we're going to get to know Pyro on another level. So that's my intro for Pyro. Here he is from base 1, but living at base 5. He's in our 5th base in Phoenix, but he's here at base 1 right now. What's up, Pyro?
Yeah, man. Hey, man, it's always a pleasure to be here. I'm excited for why, everything is coming together, like I mentioned before, and exactly what you said earlier, man. Like, I always tell people, my craft you know, how skilled my work is, how I put it together, the creativity, all that is a reflection of my state of mind and how I stay disciplined behind a lot of things in my life to keep that caliber of creativity. So yeah, I always like to highlight that because I don't want people to get the wrong idea behind what it takes to be at that level and stay consistent at that level. So I'm glad you touched on that.
Well, how does it I didn't quite follow that. How does that what consistency at that level? What do you mean?
Yeah, so for example, like when I first started, it's just like almost anybody, I assume, where when you first start, you don't really know how far you're gonna make it or if you're gonna even make it at all. And then you start to become aware of like, man, I'm actually pretty fucking good. When I look around at like my peers per se, it's blowing them out the waters or whatever. But then it becomes a certain level of discipline within yourself to maintain that level of skill and persistence of wanting to see the next level of it. And that is what I like to highlight about my craft, because it takes a certain line of discipline to remain at that level of creativity that I'm able to do so fast, so spontaneous, so innovative, and things of that nature. And
Discipline in like what way?
discipline all over my life, just
Oh,
like studies, even and I think this is what they mean by staying hungry, in the sense of like staying hungry to be curious behind what can I do more of? Like I know, because you sometimes, well, for myself at least, it gets to a point where you're so good at something, you question about who's telling you about what you're good at. So then it comes to yourself reflecting on like, okay, well, there's like this unsatisfaction of settling at where you are and just having that ability to keep seeking that next level. I just believe that that's where my craft sits at, is just always wanting to see that next level and not giving up on, like, for example, like I could have been traveling, doing some other shit that could probably be taken away from my craft by partying too much, being around the wrong people, the wrong crowd, right? And that's why I dedicate myself so much to IMC Nation, because I'm around the right people that is dedicated to the same level of creativity within themselves to be to that next level. So it all circulates very well in my life in that sense. So, and I always like to give credit to the discipline in my studies, my craft, my way of discipline of my communication, my discipline on how I choose to relate to people, how I choose to respond to people in ways that maybe I thought it was okay, but no longer. Like all these different disciplines that I have to continuously, stay sharp on, is what I like to give credit to remain at this, beautiful aesthetics that I have in videography.
mm-hmm. So how do you stay hungry, or how do you have an ability? How can someone get an ability to always be curious about getting to the next level? Is that something that can be transferred, or how did you find that within yourself, or where did that come from?
For me, it came from a place of wanting more in life, like just not accepting, like truly being sick of my sickness, or truly being, just not wanting to live the way I was living before, right? I was in college, I was in the military, living that life, have everything stepped out. My dad's in the military, right? I could have got anything.
So, but how do you do that now? Because you're not in that condition anymore.
Okay, so even now, well, I put myself in a position where I'm so far along the path, it's like going backwards just doesn't make sense. It's like I'm probably closer to where I want to get to than just go backwards. So it's like you got to put yourself in a position where what you're going after is the only option. So for me, it's becoming that high level creator that I seen for myself, or that highest level communicator that I see for myself, because wanting to be a public speaker was what made me pick up a camera in the first place. So wanting that, knowing, or it's more than wanting it, it's like I have a true conviction that I can achieve this high level of communication and videography, that I put myself in a position that I just can't go back in my life. So that means I made the sacrifices of not doing the same habitual things I was doing before, hanging around certain people and things of that nature. So I think that's something that comes in revelation to somebody of like, hey, like I can no longer live the way I've been living. There's something better. And I can see people doing things that's probably not even as good as me. and I'm not getting these kind of results. So there must be something wrong that I'm doing that I must give up. And that's when the internal shift begins to happen. And I think that just comes through revealing yourself to revealing yourself to things that you've been hanging on to that needs to be changed, whatever that may be for you. And that's what I'm seeing for myself. So I think that's something that becomes in relation to anybody that just wants to do more than what is available to them, that they've been like maybe in a bad habit of not going too far every time they start somewhere. It's like, nah, man, something has to click. Like there's no way I can't have my chance in life to really be at a high level of whatever skill I'm going after.
Dang. So it sounds like that's like a lot of belief in yourself. Is that it?
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's conviction. Like I really don't have any other ideas or concepts that I carry that I will not do what I think I'm going to be able to do. Like I don't have that anymore. I remember there was a phase where it was juggling in my mind. Like, damn, I might not. But the persistence has been so long. Like that part of me died out along. It just can't keep up when you're moving at a speed of I don't know, a speed of just not giving up of what you see is true for yourself.
Right on. Will you tell us about Levels of Mastery, your IMC TV show? What's that all about?
Yes, man. What a beautiful thing that I was able to create underneath IMC Nation. You know, as much as I do for, you know, video content, it's just so great that I get pushed to go into my speaking, just being here in IMC. And Levels of Mastery was a place that I was able to create and speak on my path. What have I been using over the course of my journey, if you will, of saying, hey, I'm gonna go after this thing no matter what. And I'm able to have a platform where I can speak on it. And let me turn off my live real quick. And so it's been that place where I'm speaking on, you know, my relationships. I speak on my business that I have, the networking, how things line up for me, and just the backstory behind things that's going on. And I've been doing it for the last 2 years now. I think I started in 2021, and I have a Telegram group. I go live every morning. It's called Morning Mastery. It's kind of like a spin-off, if you will, where it's a morning thing that kind of leads into Levels of Mastery if you want to know more about what I have going on. But I highlight the morning a lot because that is the core of who I am as an individual. So I highlight that a lot. And that's the place where you can learn more about my process, how I network, how I create the business that I create, and how I use my skills and social dynamics to build my business and my network. So that's what the highlight of Levels of Mastery is. And it's on YouTube on IMC Nation. IMC TV. And I also have a Telegram group called Levels of Mastery for that as well.
Oh, yeah. So what are some of these ways that you network? Like, what are some secrets you can give my audience?
Sure. So first thing that I could say about networking is that whenever you go into the room, like this, so I always did things in increments. I never just, you know, just flat out just put myself in a position to fail. I always did things in increments. So what I mean by that is that I noticed that when I walk into a room, initially when I first started, I was uncomfortable immediately. Like immediately. It's just the overload of voices, people, not knowing them, not knowing me. It was like an overload to a degree. So the first thing is you got to learn how to become comfortable or desensitize yourself in a room, a body of people, right? Depending on the capacity of a room or size of a room. So first, you got to be able to measure that within yourself, that every time you walk into a room, how comfortable or not comfortable are you in a room? So I did a practice where I usually just sit in the mall, in a food court, and just learn how to be comfortable sitting in the food court. I will go eat in the food court. I will go eat in social places because I noticed that, man, why am I so uncomfortable eating by myself? Like, that's almost kind of weird, actually, but it's a social thing that I had by not being trained. That's what it came down to. So that's number one, just measuring your level of being able to be comfortable. Number two, one thing about networking I would say is knowing what your value is before you even walk into the room. I've noticed that there was times where I was going in a room, quote unquote, shooting in the dark because I've just figured, hey, I'm in the room. People want things. Maybe things will just happen by chance, and that doesn't work like that either. So I had to be not only knowing what my value is, but be certain behind my value, knowing that I can I can deliver what it is, the value I know that I have. So when I align my comfort level and working on that, desensitizing myself to my comfort level and being certain behind my value, I've been able to attract people a lot more easily versus trying to do something else or try to pretend like I'm comfortable, pretend like I know my value. And that's coming across my communication as I'm being spoken to, and then doesn't go nowhere. So those are the two major keys that I can see for myself that I definitely worked on, and it has really shifted my level of being able to network just off of those two things that I've worked on.
Well, so you have a lot of content out there. You've been at this for some time. And how do you work on knowing your value? Or do you know, because I think everybody has different value. Not everybody's equal. Nobody's equal.
Yes.
So it's not like knowing your value is like knowing that everybody has value, because value is value to who? Some people want a videographer, some people need a barber, some people need a mechanic or something. So when you said you've been working on it and knowing your value, I think those words, people like those words, but I mean, yes or no, you see people that they go to these events or they go to different venues and they don't know their value. They walk around, it doesn't look like they know their value. So they might agree with that statement, but how do they actually either have conviction, like you say, or believe it, or maybe they're just not portraying it? What do you say about that?
Yeah, I would say it comes down to your production and like what do you produce as a service, as a skill, and your ability to be extremely proficient. I say extremely and not by accident. I say that very, very consciously, because you have to have this balance between trusting that your repetition behind your skill or service is going to create what it is that you want to create. So for example, like you got to be able to mass produce what it is that you can do, not just kind of do it, whatever the case may be. Like you have to know you can use anything in your environment behind your skill to create what you want to do. So like, and I guess that will come back into your craft, or how much time you spend on your craft and being proficient in your craft. And that's how you're going to be more assertive. And I don't want to say comfortable, but I want to say more assertive and more what's the word? Like confident. Yeah, more assertive and confident behind what you can produce to somebody. And I know for myself, at least, I can stand more firm in front of somebody, knowing that if somebody needs anything in that realm and field of what I can produce, it's most likely a closed deal, because
I know what you mean.
I have what they need. So it just needs to come up. And the moment it does, it's available. And that's because there's so much confidence behind it, versus the other way where I'm not as confident. I don't know. And in the topic of conference, I don't know because I haven't practiced enough. When the topic of conversation comes up where my service could be needed, even if I pitched it to them prior to all the communication to that, there was no sense of certainty behind my product. So it was like, I'll take your information, but I'll think about it while they check their other options if it's as confident as mine. I'm sure that's what happens when that does happen, to a degree. I'm not saying every time, but I'm sure that is a measurement tool, because you got to remember, if you're asking for big amount of dollars, people are expecting big amount of value behind. So it makes sense to want to spend $5K, $3K, $2K, $200, $500, even $20 for that matter. Any kind of money exchange, you want to make sure there's confidence behind what you're spending. So that is definitely a big factor that plays into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. I had a question that was right in all of that. Slipping my brain right now. Dang. Does anybody in the audience have any questions? We got a big audience. TikTokers are liking it too. Good tips, they're saying.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the beauty.
I remember. Okay. Well, I forget the bridge, but it was somehow like with IMC Nation and what you're doing here. And, so you put out so much content, you get certain as you produce the content, you know your value because, you've done it so much, and then not carrying yourself humbly. Maybe people have this belief that they're like, that they should continue to be humble and just humble. And even though they have certainty, and it's like, that's maybe not going to work in the world. And so you're doing these, you have projects, people pay big dollars for that. And I'm curious, like, because it's kind of like that. That's what it was. It's kind of like what you were saying, when you know your value and if the person's looking for a videographer, chances are I can help them. And it was like, and I felt that way with yoga. And I also felt that way with IMC. And I feel that way with IMC because if you're a man, I can help you. It's very general. It's like very little work. If you're a woman, I can help you. I'm just not trying to sell you. So, I feel like we got this. So then I'm curious, how much does IMC, or to what degree does IMC come up in, maybe it's not, maybe it's just the professional relationship, just do the video and they'll kind of get to know your personality just as you do your job. And if they get curious, then you can maybe expose them to more, or what's the next, what do you see? What's in the future for you? Maybe next 6 to 12 months. What are you looking at creating, so people get an idea of what level you're really at?
Mm-hmm. Man, that's fascinating. So before I came here to San Jose, I made a little pit stop to, I don't even want to say little because it really wasn't. I made a pit stop in LA for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for 3 days. Because I had a guest come up with me to the Alpha Male game show in San Jose. My guest checked the star. And I stopped there and I networked with a lot of producers and stuff of that nature. And and it's funny that we're talking about, because this is exactly what happened in my life, where I'm there in the studio with this producer that's very, very well connected. Long story short, a high level like editor, like very nice, like I'm talking about like high level animation editor. He has a co-collaboration project with him, and he asked me to shoot the video on a green screen and then be able to send it to him. So I shot it for him, and he told me like there's a lot of good connections with film. And for me, I think between now and the end of this year, I see myself being on set somewhere in LA. Somebody, either shadowing. I've never put myself in a position to learn from anybody when it comes to film. I always learned everything by myself, and I'm at that glass ceiling where
through online programs, I see you studying video, other instructionals and things all the time, but you mean like on your own? That's what that means. It doesn't mean you just like invented how to do the camera.
Yeah, no, definitely not. No. I learned a lot via YouTube, of course, and a little bit here of programs that I maybe picked up here and there, but nothing where somebody's in a position and they're like, hey, you're really good at what you do. Come hang out, come, see this and see that, how, and that kind of stuff. I always kind of just put myself in position to do that. And I do see myself doing that within the next 6 months, and figuring out, well, not even much figuring out, but just coming across how to shoot short films and how to get it on these streaming services that I want to do. That is what I really want to do. And I feel like it's coming
That's
around.
dope.
Yeah, it's coming around.
Yeah.
I feel it. I feel it's coming around. So in the next 6 months,
It motivates me.
I see it. I really do see it. And I don't even know what to expect on it, you know, honestly, because I've never been on the set. And it's like, I know as much as I know, but I've never been on set. And the guy that was talking to me about it, he's like, that's probably one of the biggest things when it comes to doing movie production, is that everybody is fucking badass. But the moment one is like, doesn't know how to work as a team, then nobody wants to hire that individual because it fucks up the whole project. It's like, you got to have some kind of a balance to be able to do that. And, I'm excited to see what that is for me and how far that takes me. I see myself doing more business in California. That's another thing I see myself doing. I want to start prospecting the Bay Area, San Jose. I'm not really too fond of Oakland, but maybe San Jose and San Francisco, just for a video production, maybe real estate, weddings, and maybe some music videos here and there. But I want to start prospecting more business around this area so I can spend more time in the San Jose area and in the California area. So I could reinvest back into IMC and spend more time around IMC as well. So that's kind of where I'm at in the next 6 months.
Yeah, that'd be great to hear, to the whatever wisdom you gain from being on set in like Hollywood film and all that stuff and collaborating with those people, because it just motivates me with all of the Manu tech and it motivates
Yes.
me, personally as an actor, and it motivates me in screenwriting because I've always, always since I came up with the idea years ago of writing the book, the kind of the biography or autobiography or whatever biography of IMC,
Yeah.
and then just kind of distilling that down to a screenplay or something for the movie, basically making a movie out of the book. And this is, and and being even an
And this
actor in
day,
that.
hey, brother, in this day and age, it's so accessible and so easy. Like, right,
Yeah.
like I was getting at, I end up shooting. So that scene that this producer needed me to shoot for him in a green screen, it happened to be in Hennessy studio. So the owner of Hennessy. So everybody knows what Hennessy bottle is, the one you see in the strip clubs and all the girls want. Like the owner of that bottle, he's the one who opened the doors for us to go into the studio and create the studio. And like meeting him and the potential behind it and what I potentially could be walking into, it's like it's almost mind-boggling for me for a little bit. And it's also like, damn, like this is what it is when you work so hard and you see yourself walking into what you are capable of having. And it's like the feeling of okay, this is my time to really, really outproduce anything that I ever thought I can do, and just going for it. So for me, it's like, man, just staying disciplined is always going to be the answer, behind
So let me
everything.
ask you, so if you're going to have all this business in California and Hollywood, but you're living at IMC Base Phoenix, what does
Mhm.
that mean for living at Base Phoenix, or does it mean anything?
Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean
They
anything
just
at all.
travel a
Just
lot.
travel. Yeah, just travel. Right now, financially, it is making sense for me to do that.
Mhm. Yeah,
But that is the goal. The goal is to raise the financial bar in California, because obviously California is a more paying state for things. I just feel like it's going to be able to leverage me to be able to make more money and not make that a thing where I could live
yeah.
wherever I want and maybe even live in San Jose or California or LA.
So let me ask you, what's tell us about Paradise Vixens. What's that all about? Your company,
Yeah,
Paradise Vixens.
man, Paradise Vixens is what has really put me on the map, if you will, or just
Oh yeah.
people made aware of me, because so when I first started photography, you know, it didn't get too much attention. I was just practicing what I was practicing. So I was like, hey, what's some pictures that I can take that I'm pretty sure everybody will want to look at to show
Mhm.
my level. So I started working with models. And then it came from that to everybody that had projects going on in the city wanted those models to be in their projects. So then I became that connection between all that. And being that a lot of those women were comfortable with just me, they will want to be part of my brand behind those projects. So it just became me learning how to build a relationship through these business transactions and also working with women. So it all turned into something that I was just doing just for fun. And then I started seeing that I can make money off of this. I can make connections off of this. I can build a better network off of this. And most importantly, I can change my level of communication by having more women around me, really. Because I started learning that is the test of my communication and my character, is being around women, especially at that caliber. So that came about 2019 is when I started shooting models at that level. And at Paradise Vixens came a real thing in 2021 is when Paradise Vixens became official. And now it's a content management company where models could, hire me, where I can create their content and rebuild their portfolio, put them in projects and high quality images and stuff like that. So that's what Paradise Vixens is about. And of course, castings for any other projects.
For sure. That's great. Yeah. And that's interesting. 2019 brings me back to when you made the yoga
Man,
video
what a
promo
time.
for me, which was great. It's my resume, got me tons of business. It's still on my YouTube, ninthlim.com. That's what Pyro made for me. So I'm curious about your kind of clients. There's definitely like the ambition where you want to go and fill your calendar with those kinds of clients. But I also heard you say earlier, like real estate promos and other kinds of music videos and models. Obviously, you'd shoot if they need like some kind of video resume, kind of like me. And so what do you find who are the kinds of people that you work with most, or that you have the strongest kind of working relationships with? Those kinds, like I knew when I was teaching yoga, physical therapists and massage therapists, those were going to be my people. Acro yogis, those are going to be my people. Sometimes gymnasts, Like those are the kinds of people that I would teach yoga to.
Mhm.
So like, who are your regular kind of people?
Yeah, so my regular kind of people really is my community, whoever is in my community. That's something that I've always helped me elevate in wherever I'm at. Before I left Tampa, so
What do
right
you
now,
mean your community, like geographic community or like your
yeah,
like
so I'm
cultural
gonna
community?
explain. So I'm gonna
Okay.
explain. So like,
Okay.
yeah, so right now I just moved to Phoenix. So I'm building relationships with my community. So I'm talking about your local barbers. I'm talking about your local let's see here, like trainers, fitness trainers, your local fruit stands or food trucks or restaurants and things of that nature. When I was in Tampa, I had relations with the whole city. Everybody needed that production and I was willing to offer it to them. And then, just it goes like a domino effect. Somebody knows somebody that needs it more or willing to pay more, so they lead me to that person.
How do
So
you bring that up? How do local business or whatever, in your community, how do they come to know that you do this?
so perfect. So I remember I was with one of my brothers, Luna, in Phoenix, and
Yeah.
he had some sea moss, amazing sea moss. I said, brother, you gotta tell me where that is. So I went there. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna make this guy my friend so I can have lifetime sea moss. That's literally what it was in my mind. So I go there and I'm like, hey, bro. So I'm talking to him and I told him, hey, look, my brother, because Luna came out here, my brother told me about your sea moss. I'm here to buy it. And I really was curious about if he had people that did production for his market that he had. Cause like I really do feel like people need to have this. Like I'm convicted of it. So it's like I believe in it. So I feel like everybody should know. And he said, no, I don't have that. And it was very interesting in looking at me. So I always I only want to mix myself with a brand that I first trust and believe in, like wholeheartedly. And I believe in it so much that I want to amplify the image of it digitally anywhere that it is. So
Yeah, and that's what we've seen you do with IMC.
so I just asked them, hey, do you have anybody that is that dedicated as yourself to promote and film your brand or your service, X, Y, and Z? And sometimes they do. There's people, there's companies that yeah, I do. I already have somebody or whatever case can be. And but most than not, they don't. And so I work with their budget. I find out where they are with that. I wonder how consistent can it be with it, and then I just build relation with that because I generally like the service. It's like a barber. I have a barber that I generally like. Maybe I like the aesthetic of the barbershops. I'm like, hey, bro, I just love the aesthetic of your barbershop. I think it needs to be recognized. I'll shoot some
Yeah.
content for you.
Damn, that's great. I think it needs to be recognized. It's a great line.
Yes.
You're not getting the recognition you deserve. That's a great
100%.
line.
Yeah,
You should be way more recognized. Man, that's the angle.
Yes, because and honestly, because I generally do feel like that. It's and I've learned how to keep my production clean by actually investing in something that I generally like to invest in. Not because I was just talking to one of my the artists I work with a lot. I said, I'm in this weird position when it comes to music videos because I don't want to just do these weird music videos with 1,000 dudes on the block pointing their guns at the fucking camera and like. I can make a ton of money doing that shit. However, one, of course, my life is in danger, and two, it's fucking stupid. And I don't want to promote something that's so fucking stupid. I don't want, I don't want to put my name behind that shit. So it's like, it was this dilemma that I had for a while where it's like, do I just make the money and just hurry up and do it and get out the way? Or do I keep it clean and do it how I've been doing it? And of course, I went the route of keeping it clean and only investing in people that one, I actually like their fucking music because man, you'll be surprised how many people send me music. I'm like, what am I listening to? I lost brain cells listening to this. And then there's and I have to learn how to, be very consistent behind that. So I have the proper network behind me because I do know that your network is your net worth. Who you surround yourself with and who your connections is going to just kind of have a good influence in how you experience life overall. If you had really great friends on everything you need in your life, I think life will be very, very, very smooth because it's like you could just go to a friend that will help you out. If you had a mechanic that was a friend, I had a business partner / good friend that he customized cars. And I shot all the videos to all his cars that he customized for the NFL players, for anybody that's in the city. And he, in exchange, instead of paying me and paying him, he just fixed my car whenever I needed to be fixed. So it was like, I started seeing that it's not even about the money, but it's truly about relationships and being true behind your relationships and not having this money thing behind it. It's like, we all know that money has to be there. And that's what I learned. Everybody's willing to give money when it's necessary, but to let that be the forefront, or that part that drives you to do what you do, it really dilutes the true things that you can create in this life.
Oh yeah, great message. Okay, so just wrapping it up, I just want to ask some final questions about your Guardian training, man. You've been living at IMC base 5 for some time. Man, you've been at a lot of bases. You were base 2, I think. You were base 3. You came from Florida originally. You did a lot of traveling around, and you've experienced a lot of housemates. And of course, the whole base 5 Phoenix project went through a few incarnations of guys living in different houses, whatever. It's actually surprisingly challenging to get 5 or 6 alpha males coming together and live in a place, So now you're there. You're under lease. You're establishing. Pretty soon there's going to be property purchased in Phoenix that y'all could move into, and then that's going to be just another level. I mean, it's just great. And then so what happens is, so you get into a base in IMC and you become a resident of that base. But the base needs to, people are doing that. The guys are doing that because, first of all, to even qualify, the other guys need to want you there. And they'll want you there if you're studying IMC and following these philosophies and, making your life better with it. And so the dedication needs to be undeniable about that. But then, so they're already ambitious about mastering the AZD process and the IMC process. And so then how do you do that? You're going to need some higher level people in that base that know how base 1 operates, how we've learned to live with AZD, and we've molded our lives to be, reflective of, what works in that, the masterful system of that works. And so guys, they come here and they stay residency at base 1 for a certain duration. It's not known. It's just until it's done, basically. And you can keep coming back until it's done. And you achieve different ranks, starting with Guardian, base leader, IMC lieutenant, IMC tribal leader, captain, there's me, the highest rank, and then founder. And these ranks, maybe we'll change the names of them. Maybe we won't, it doesn't matter. But, basically you have all the know-nothings in the world. They don't know shit. If they're not in an IMC program, they're just fucking jackoffs. Then you get people in IMC, and they're what I call, because my dad helped me pick this name, and they're peons. So they're just peons. You pee on them because they're a little bit better than know-nothings, but they're still basically nobodies. They haven't made anything of themselves until they basically get to the next level, which is learning the AZD process. That's going to be Origins Camp. So there's a guy on right now that's on Midday Gospel. He's been on Midday Gospel for like 8 months, hasn't done an Origins Camp. He's a peon to me until he does that. That's just what it is. Like, doesn't mean I don't have love for the guy. Like, you're in IMC. I want you to get better. And, maybe I don't go about it the right ways by criticizing people, but, until someone comes along and does it better. I mean, I know that's what got Troy Sawyer involved with IMC was this attitude, and he's still around. So obviously shit worked. So then you do the Origins Camp, and then you have an understanding of the AZD process. Then you're going to need to do some advanced camps, which comes after that. That's how you'll meet the guys that you could eventually base up with. And so from there, you become a resident of a base. So that's from know-nothing to peon to, basic level 1 AZD process, monk to, an advanced student of IMC Nation to a base resident. Because nobody's a base resident without having done advanced camps. So that comes first. So then you become a base resident. That's not even a ranked individual yet. This is just the pyramid of it. And then you become guardian of that base, guardian of the tech. You're guardian of the IMC tech at that base. And so that's Pyro's about to leave here and, be bestowed the rank of guardian. And so in the last 4 or 5 minutes, if you have anything you'd like to share about your experience of becoming a guardian, residency here, maybe some things, especially like maybe some surprising things people wouldn't know until they came here and did it. Anything like that, I'll give you the table or whatever the saying is.
Yeah. So, man, first and foremost, man, IMC Nation has changed my life dramatically. Like, that's not an understatement at all. Everything that I spoke about on today's live is nothing but a testimony to what AZD is capable of teaching an individual. That's all I ever wanted to be once I truly believed in what I was doing for myself and what I knew AZD can help me with. I just want to be a testimony to what somebody that's better than me and has been longer in the process and the path of me can show me, and I can be a representation of. And, behind that, I'm extremely blessed to be able to have meet everybody that's somebody in IMC Nation. You know, everybody that is somebody in IMC Nation, I've shook hands with. And that's a very big blessing for me, because I noticed there's a lot of people in IMC that doesn't have that experience. Even those that's in bases, they don't have that experience. I've met every single person in the base. I've built a relationship with every single person that's in the base. I don't think there's not one person in the base, or even in some people in IMC that's in the, in the circles of IMC. So to me, that's more, it's more than a privilege. It's just a blessing to have that experience, because that does shape my character. That does play a significant part on how I've been able to attract life, to create the life that I've been able to create for myself. So that's that. And what's very amazing about this lifestyle is that even when people think they know what they're talking about, it's like, it's very evident that they don't know what they're talking about. And that's the beauty of having this level of communication in tech, is that you don't waste your time with people that think they know what they're talking about. And that has saved me in so many situations that don't drown, my energy away from my purpose. And that is one big contribution from AZD. And I'm proud to always be an example of that. I'm always proud to share whatever comes my way to my brothers that's around. And being here at Base One, it's like a reset button for me, man. That's why I really enjoy coming here every month. It's a reset behind anything that comes up from my past or things that I think I am, and shows me like, hey, there's a reason why you're here. You're not here amongst people that is lightweight. Everybody here is very heavyweight in their world. And any idea of less than that is just something that's not of me. And that's something that I've been able to learn through this tech and things of that nature. And being here at Base One, it feels like home every time I come back here. I've been coming back since 2020. I'll be here way past, more than what I've been doing. I look forward to the next evolution, not only within myself, but the next evolution of all the brothers that's here. Yeah, man, this is where every man needs to be, hands down. And that's why I want to keep on climbing the ranks of life, and just what I can get my hands on in my industry, so I can keep on shouting the names of IMC, because I know that is the driving force behind what I do. So once again, thank you, Yogi Chris, for even meeting up with me in that day. Who knows, if I wouldn't have met you back in Tampa, I would have get this far. But I knew for a fact the day I met you, it was tripping out. I remember I was tripping out that I met you, because I was like, bro, if this happened, I know where I'm going to be at with IMC. Like, it was no doubt in my mind. And I know that moment is a testament to what I'm speaking about now, because it was just a moment only me and him shared, because it changed my life, man. I'm just saying, it changed my life, and I can't be expressive about that enough, man. So that's everything for me, brother. Thanks again for having me on the show. I really appreciate it and your time.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. And, it reminded me of Ranger, actually. That's how I met Ranger in a similar circumstance in Texas. So what you were just saying, great memories. We got to end the show. So I just want to give a little bit of direction to everybody. You can find the show on all the podcast apps, Apple, Spotify, Podbean. IMC Tony K is head of the podcasting department for me. And also, Officer Jeremiah does a lot with the posting. Shout out to IMC Anbu, who runs IMC Television. So he coordinates all of that stuff, and to all the IMC staff that's helped. So guys, if you're not on Midday Gospel, that's a shame. You're missing out. You don't even know game. You don't even know what it sounds like to hear an alpha male until you get on Midday Gospel. I don't care what you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, who you're talking to. I've heard them all just like you. Ain't nobody impressive like this. You got to get on Midday Gospel. If you're on Midday Gospel, we're about to have an Origins lecture, which is the next level up. That's where you learn the process, all the disciplines, all the daily activities, where you're like, well, then what's Midday Gospel? Midday Gospel is all the stories, all the information, all the masterminding, all the conversations that you'll hear, you'll see what the tribe is about. And your Origins will give you the tech. And that's what we'll be teaching today. That's on imcbase1.com. You can get on Midday Gospel and Origins. There's more advanced programs than that, but you don't even need to know about that if you're not at that level. So go to imcbase1.com to check out all the trainings for IMC. Go to any of the podcast apps to check out Enlightened Masculinity and all the episodes, past interviews with all the top guys. And more to come, and that's why I was also shouting out TK, because TK coordinates all of the collaborations, like with Master Pyro. So I appreciate it. We'll have Master Pyro's link also in the description. And then from there, you can get to know him and, all the connections that he has with things. Thank you, brother. Thanks to all the IMC audience that showed up live. And we'll see you next. Chosen is the next lecture. That's the advanced training above Origins. So if you're eligible for that, because it's by invite only, it's on early bird now. Of course, this episode, the recording is posted later. So, guys that are watching the recording, you're just hearing about how the structure of these things work right now. You're not really eligible for that. But the guys that are on the stream right now, if you are eligible, hit me up, man. Get that early bird before 10 a.m. tomorrow. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Jay Guru Dev. Os.